Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. This is my channel, Rouse Rising, and I am Katie.
Smoke.
It's a boy! Today we are just going to talk a little bit about my recent miscarriages, what kind of happened hormonally, and when my cycle returned, and we're going to talk about HCG, ovulation, that kind of stuff. Just to kind of give you a rundown, I know there's a lot of women out there searching for answers after their miscarriage, and I just wanted to share my experience and what I went through with my miscarriages and when I started to get back to normal post-miscarriage. My last baby we lost at 9 weeks, and it took about 4 weeks for the HCG to get out of my system, and it was completely gone on the day that I got my first period after that. Now, I was not able to detect ovulation because my LH strips were picking up the HCG hormone. LH strips can pick up HCG, but HCG tests cannot pick up the LH hormone, the luteinizing hormone, which when it peaks, that's when you start to ovulate. So throughout the 4 weeks from the time I started to miscarry till my first period, I was not able to figure out ovulation. And I want to share with you guys my journey through those weeks. I am sharing with you the testing process, what tests I took when I took them, and the results of those tests. Now, everything seems to be going back to normal. I am assuming that I ovulated on the last full moon because that would have been 2 weeks from my miscarriage. However, since I still had HCG present, I wasn't able to get a positive ovulation test, and I also wasn't having very many signs of ovulation. So with that said, I got my period, and so now I know I can prepare in about 2 weeks that I will be ovulating again, and turns out that is also with a full moon. So I believe that my cycles, along with my miscarriage, I have synced up with the full moon, and I should be ovulating with the moon. So that's really interesting, and that's something I will share more about when I'm in my fertile window, or when I think that I'm due for ovulation about 14 days past the first day of my period. I'm going to be opening up my windows and allowing that moonlight to come in, and I might sleep with a little night light on next to my bed. Back here I have my salt lamp, so I'll probably turn that on the 3 days surrounding my most fertile day so that I can be sure to trigger ovulation. And that way I can really be sure of what my cycles are doing, and I can track everything from there. I will be taking LH tests from about cycle day 12 until I ovulate. And then from that point, I will be able to be more certain about what my cycle is doing. I also want to share with you guys the supplement protocol that I am doing to help optimize my fertility, my reproductive system, balance my hormones. I have been drinking an herbal tea blend, and I'm going to be sure to share that recipe with you guys in a future video, as well as my first trimester tea, second trimester tea, and third trimester tea, which I'm going to link above right here. My third trimester tea is what I made and drank during my last couple of pregnancies. I buy my herbs in bulk to save money, and then I make a half-gallon jar of tea at a time. So be sure to check out that recipe. I'm also going to link it down below in the description. I've been doing a lot of my own research on hormone balancing and on supplements to take to improve egg quality, also to regulate cycles and balancing hormones. And I'm going to do a whole nother video about all the supplements that I am taking to help optimize my health right now. We are not planning to have a 5th baby at this time. I don't know that we ever will. So I do want to be sure that I'm giving my body the chance to be at its best, and that I want my egg quality really good. I'm going to be sailing into my 40s in a few years, and with that comes a lot more hormonal changes in menopause, all of that stuff. So I just want to be sure that I am taking care of myself the best that I can. I believe that both of these miscarriages were a wake-up call for me to take better care of myself. So I'm really trying to, at this time in my life, make myself a priority, make my health a priority, and I think that's really important. One thing I'm trying to do, and I'm doing it slowly, is to wean myself off of coffee. I have been drinking way too much coffee the last few years, and I think that has played a role in a little bit of hormone imbalance. So I will be switching over in favor of green tea and my herbal teas, and I'll be sharing that whole journey along with you guys. For now, I want you to check out this video, the rest of it, so that you can see what happened from the point where I started to miscarry and what happened with my hormones through to menstruation, my first menses after my miscarriage. Now, I was really surprised by what I discovered, how long it took for HCG to get out of my system. And I think that that might be a surprise to you too. And also that I was taking HCG tests and LH tests to try to figure out what was going on with my body. I also had a blood test recently to check my beta levels, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in this video. So check it out. Make sure you watch to the end to see how this all unfolds. Be sure to click the subscribe button down here in the corner, and you can also click it below this video, and then also the notification bell so that you can get more updates about this journey, and also stay tuned to see more craziness from my family and all the fun things that we do, the adventures we go on, because there's a lot. It's not just about me and my fertility. This channel is about living holistically, raising my family as naturally as possible, eating whole foods, nourishing recipe, herbs, all of that stuff. So be sure that you are watching these videos so that you too can be hopefully inspired by how we are tackling this thing called life. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out this. Hi, so I have been testing down my HCG since my miscarriage, and I'm gonna have to look at my calendar, and I should have done that before I started filming, but I think everything's running together because of this quarantine. I'm either 2 weeks out from when I miscarried or 3 weeks out. How I lost a week in there, I don't know. So I'm using these cheapo Dollar Tree tests. This is what I use when I don't have internet cheapies, and I used all my internet cheapies to test my pregnancy hormone to see it increase, and now I'm testing it out to see it decrease. So far, the last 2 days, I'm still getting a positive line on these tests, so I know that I still have HCG in my system, and I believe that's going to prevent me from ovulating, so I won't be ovulating yet. My ovulation tests I have been taking are still positive, so I'm going to hold off. I might keep taking them daily until I ovulate, but they're going to keep popping positive as long as I have HCG in my system. So I'm trying to figure out when I'm ovulating again so I can track my cycles, so I can prevent pregnancy for a little while I try to figure out why I'm miscarrying. Here we go with this. I've got my urine sample, and I'm going to put it in here. Oops, I didn't count how many that was, but I'm gonna set this down right here in front, and then I'll just show you these last 2 days of tests that I've been taking. If it focuses, and you can see there is a line on both of those. This one I think was yesterday's. It might be a little bit more faint than this one, but These tests, when I'm not pregnant, these tests are stark white. There's nothing there at all. You hold a flashlight, hold it up to sunlight, whatever. There's absolutely zero line. I've never had an evap line. I've never had anything on one of these tests. Now, these usually show a very, very faint line later than the internet cheapies that I use. I will link below in the description what internet cheapies I use. If you don't want to order from Amazon, you can go to the Dollar Tree and get these $1 pregnancy tests. They are way better than any expensive tests that I've ever used. I've had 6 pregnancies and I've used these in almost every single one. So yeah, it's maybe it's better in the shadow. You can see it better. Anyways, so with my last miscarriage, I tested negative pretty immediately, and then 14 days later I had a positive ovulation test. So I feel like once I test negative with these, that I will be able to calculate that I will ovulate within 2 weeks. Let me back this up. So this hasn't completely dried yet like the other ones, but right now I see what I would call a very, 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 very faint line, like a shadow line. So it's not quite stark white, but there is which you're not gonna be able to see it. And I'll show you tomorrow the 3 tests when this one dries, if you'll be able to see this line once it dries. And no, it is not a fake evap line. I don't get evap lines on negative pregnancy tests, negative HCG tests. I do not get evap lines, only with blue dye tests and a cheap Walmart test I've gotten evap lines, but I've never gotten an evap line with these. These are not evap lines. I mean, this is evaporated, this is a dry test, but this is a positive for HCG. No, I am not pregnant. I miscarried about 2 weeks ago. Coming up on 3 weeks, I think, on Monday. It'll be 3 weeks from when, I think, I'm gonna have to double check all this, and I'll write down in the bottom, down here it will say. But yeah, so from when my HCG levels started to drop, they reached 16,000 in my 9th week of pregnancy. That's where they topped out. And then the very next day, they dropped down to, they could have reached higher over the weekend, but I didn't get a blood test until Monday. And Monday they were at 16,000. And then Tuesday they were at 11,000. So I knew on Tuesday that I was miscarrying. So there is still a very, very, very faint line on this. It's like one of those squinter, oh my gosh, is it positive in my pregnant test? But I'm not pregnant. I know I'm not. So, yeah, there's a very, 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 very faint line. Maybe if I take it out of here, you can see. Now look, I know haters are going to be like, you're not supposed to take the test out of the case. Well, it doesn't matter. If you're pregnant, if you have HCG in your system, this is going to pick up HCG in your system. If you don't, it's not going to. Blue dye tests, those lie all the time. Now you can see the very, very faint line, and I should probably wait the full 5 minutes, but I really don't need to. There is a line still there. I am still testing positive for HCG. So it's not out of my system yet, but I will keep you guys updated. Okay, let's not be critical of the way I'm looking right now. I just came inside from building a pig pen and I haven't showered yet. I'm gonna do that, but I've been building a pig pen, so bear with me for just a minute. I remembered that I needed to take a pregnancy test today. I am 2 weeks. Today is 5 days. From yesterday was 2 weeks, 4 days. So I'm 2 weeks, 5 days out from my miscarriage. And when I say miscarriage, I'm talking about from the point which I believe my HCG started to drop with beta blood tests. I had a blood test on a Monday, and then I had a blood test on a Tuesday. And the blood test on Monday obviously was higher than the blood test on Tuesday. And previous to that, I had only had a blood test the previous Thursday. So going off of Thursday, Monday, Tuesday levels, that's when I'm basing the time that I started miscarry, when my levels started to drop. That's not when the baby exited my body or anything else. That's not when the bleeding stopped or anything like that. I was bleeding at the time. I had been bleeding for like 3 or 4 days leading up to the drop in HCG. So This is just from when my HCG started to drop. And I didn't start taking tests until about, this is my 4th day taking tests, so 3 days ago. And then including today is day number 4. And I am using the Dollar Tree cheap $1 test because I failed to order more from Amazon. So I just ran to the Dollar Tree and got a stash of them. I think I got 10 for $10. So this is the one that I have taken today. Let's see if I can get it to focus on there somehow. And I might have to flip the camera around, but there is still a faint light shadow of a line for the test line. So I still have HCG that is being detected on a pregnancy test. Now I'll show you the last 3 days so you can see, and then once this one, I'm gonna lay it down flat, you'll be able to see it in comparison with the other ones. So yeah, let me do that now. Okay, so here we have the last 4 days pregnancy tests. They are upside down, and that's simply because I like to see this test line first and then the control line. So that's why they're upside down like this, and they're covered in dust. So this was 3 or 4 days ago. I don't know how to math. And then as you can see, they come down, they do get lighter. So there's still a faint line right there on that one. Hold on a second, Annika. And then this one has not dried yet. All those are dry. You can see definite line, and then it's starting to fade. Even today, you can still see a hint of a line right there. So HCG is still in my system, and I'm still testing it down. So I guess I'll be taking another test tomorrow, and I can assume that I am not ovulating in the next few days because of the HCG still present. My daughter's slamming doors and drawers, so I'm gonna go and get her some water. Okay, folks, so tomorrow I would be 12 weeks. Because it'll be 3 weeks since I miscarried, and I miscarried at 9 weeks. So I'm gonna show you guys the last 4 days what I got, and then today is looking super light so far. I just took it, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you all of them. It may be out of my system completely, or it may just still be a very, very faint line. You know, the ones that are squinters. So I'll show you guys what I got, and then tomorrow I'll show you all the dry tests. Okay, from the top down, refer back to the beginning of my video to find out what these were. But this is gonna be, I would be approaching 12 weeks pregnancy. This is 3 weeks after miscarrying almost. So there's a very faint line there. This was yesterday's that was dried. Day before, day before, day before. So I can still see a super faint line right there. So I'm gonna say I still have some HCG at least above 5, whatever it is, micrograms or whatever, millionths, milliliter, I don't know what they say. I'll have to look like that. 5 MIUI or MI, I don't know, something crazy. You know that pregnancy lingo. So it's still testing very, very, very faint, so I can assume I'm not ovulating yet. Okay, I thought I'd do a quick update about my pregnancy test, testing down my HCG results. I do this so that I can kind of estimate, I know once the HCG is out of my system that I'll be ovulating soon. So my test is super light. I can still see a very faint line, very, very, very faint, like super faint. If I saw this line after ovulation, I would assume I was pregnant because these tests are stark white when I don't have HCG in my system. Then I know once I test down, I'm starting to take ovulation tests. My tests are so light now that I'm gonna go ahead and start taking ovulation tests. My ovulation test that I took yesterday with this pregnancy test is showing negative at this time. So, ooh, sorry guys, I'm a complete mess. We've been busy this morning. Anyways, my ovulation test finally shows negative. It had been showing positive along with my positive pregnancy tests since I miscarried. So I stopped taking them for about a week or 2, and then I just took a few just to see like what they were showing. They were showing positive because they were picking up the HCG. Ovulation tests can pick up pregnancy hormone. Pregnancy tests cannot pick up ovulation hormone. So I've tested down, and I'm going to show you right now what my yesterday's pregnancy test looked like. It is dry, and to me that does not matter. There's only certain tests that you have to be careful with, certain types of pregnancy tests, mainly blue dye tests. Some pink dye tests, when they dry, they do leave an evap line or a color line, like some of the clear blue easy tests. I've gotten positives when I wasn't pregnant, so or very light blue lines when I wasn't pregnant. But these tests, no matter what, if there's no HCG in my system, when they dry, they're stark white. Right now there's still a tiny bit. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera, but I'm gonna show you.
So here is the ovulation test I took yesterday, and you can see that this test line right here is lighter than the control line. That lets me know that the HCG is almost completely out of my system because this test is not positive. So I should be starting to ovulate in the next week or two, I would think, maybe. And then this test, let's see if I can show you. There is a faint line right to the right of this LH strip. I don't know if you can see that, but it is there barely. And then you can see 3 days ago, or 2 days ago, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, 6 days ago, 7 days ago. So this is the progression testing down my HCG after a miscarriage. Yep, and then this one, you can barely see it, but if I got that post-ovulation, I would say, oh my God, I'm pregnant. You can barely see it there, but it's still showing HCG in my system.
Okay friends, I am back with another update about life after my second miscarriage, life after my second loss. I have been taking pregnancy tests, and I have been getting positive pregnancy tests with very faint lines. And these pregnancy tests have been picking up like around 5 MIU or whatever the measurement is, HCG. And they're very sensitive. I was using dollar store ones, so those stopped picking it up, but then I was using internet cheapies. I will link those down below in the description, what those are. Let me turn off my fan. I will link those down in the description, what those are. Those I have been able to get a positive pregnancy week at like 3 weeks, 5 days, around 3 weeks, 5 days. I'm able to get a positive pregnancy test. Anyways, in the last 4 weeks since I miscarried, I was getting positive ovulation tests, but they were picking up my HCG. I was not able to determine when I ovulated exactly. So after I got like a series of positive ovulation tests, they just kind of faded and went negative, but I was still picking up HCG on my pregnancy test. Now, 4 weeks and 3 days past, or 4 weeks, 2 to 3 days, something like that, past my miscarriage, I got my period, finally. And I say finally, but really that's about average. But at least I got an answer, because I was getting positive pregnancy tests up until the day after I got my period. And then now my tests are showing negative, finally. So for all those 4 weeks, I was getting very faint positive lines on these pregnancy tests. And now I feel like I can breathe because my cycle is starting over. I can go back to natural family planning. I know that in about 14 days, which also happens to be when the next full moon is, that I will likely ovulate. I'll be able to start testing for ovulation in about 12 days. And then I will know what's going on with my body, and I will be able to prepare and keep up with what's going on and what's happening. I just ordered a whole bunch of supplements to help me get healthier since my 2 miscarriages. I am really trying to just balance out my hormones, and I'm really trying to improve my egg quality. I know that if I keep having miscarriages, and if it's possibly due to my egg quality, I need to do something to improve my health. I am also drinking an herbal tea, and I am going to make a whole nother vlog about all the things that I am doing to improve my fertility, to make myself healthy again, to optimize my hormone levels, just to get myself back to good. Obviously, something's not right for me to have 2 back-to-back miscarriages, so I am really trying hard to get my body and my hormones and everything good to go before we even consider trying to conceive again, if we even choose to go down that path. I'm not sure yet if we're going to go down that path. I don't know if we're going to have a 5th baby or not, but in the meantime, I'm going to do everything I can to optimize my health and the health of my reproductive system. I am only 36 years old. I just want to make sure that I'm giving my body the best that it can have in these last years before menopause. I just want to be healthy. And I think that's what every woman wants. So my next vlog, I'm going to go into more detail about what supplements I am taking, what herbs I am using to make my tea, and that kind of thing. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to click the subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date with this journey. And also click the notification bell to be sure to get every single update when I post videos, and that will keep you guys informed on what's going on in my life and the life of my family and what we are doing as a holistic lifestyle family. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this gave you a little bit of reassurance or information that you might need in your post-miscarriage journey. It is very common for your body to hang on to HCG for 4 weeks. At least is the case for me and what I have looked into. So don't be alarmed. Go ahead and click the link below down in this video's description. Get yourself some luteinizing hormone test strips and get yourself some pregnancy test strips so that you can test down your HCG and so that you can determine when you're going to be ovulating post miscarriage. Yeah, and thank you guys so much again for watching. Till next time, I'm going to show you real quick, just to end this video, my very, very, very faint lines that I got up to the day that I started my period, so you can see that. Okay, so these are really tough to see, but there are very, very, very faint lines on these tests. So my body was still picking up HCG. This was the evening, let's see, I got my period yesterday and this was last night. So you can see that it is a good bit gone. Once my period kicked into high gear, I no longer was getting HCG, but this was yesterday morning. So yesterday morning, I was still having a bit of HCG present that this pregnancy test was picking up. This is the AccuMed pregnancy test strips. So this was like the last couple days, and then this was last night after my period started. Anyways, I hope this is eye-opening for you guys and that you are figuring out how your body is working after your miscarriage. And I want to wish you guys the best of luck on your conception journey and having that baby. I'm going to keep everybody in my thoughts and prayers and lift you guys up. And once again, thanks so much for watching. Bye.